各位同学大家好，我是冯慕文老师，能你就是 Fabricio Fonseca， 我来自墨西哥，在台湾已经很久了，在我们的外交系已经2年了，所以今天很高兴会跟大家分享我们在外交系开课的内容。I am in charge of opening the course of International Relations in English. I think it is very important that we learn that we also have this option. So international students, but also students in Taiwan can have the opportunity to learn international relations using fully English. Therefore, all the theories, concepts, all the basic knowledge that we need to have in international relations can be offered directly in English. This can be an advantage in the future for all of the students who are interested in pursuing a career related with international relations. Not only, of course, diplomacy, but other jobs involving the economy, finance, trade, culture, politics, etc. This course, as you know, it's a mandatory course for the students in the diplomacy department. And it is so because it's the base, as I mentioned, that will open the door for all the other specializations that we will have throughout this career. So in this case, as I mentioned, if you are interested in pursuing a career in the private sector, then you will have receiving the most important elements. On the other hand, if you are interested in pursuing a career in the public sector, whether it be in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in the Ministry of Economy, in the Ministry of Arts even, of course, you will need some of these basic concepts. So that is why I think it is very, very important that from the very beginning, the students get used to all these different theories, concepts, etc. And of course, as I mentioned already, it is a plus if they can apply it in English. So I will welcome you all to take this course if you are interested. I think one important characteristic of the Department of Diplomacy and the different curricula that we teach is that we have regional studies. And among these regional studies, we have one course in Latin American studies. Now, myself, coming from Latin America, I feel really happy to have this opportunity to open this course to students in Taiwan. Now, as I mentioned in my introduction, I've been in Taiwan for quite a while. And I have found during my time in Taiwan that students really don't know that much about Latin America, and most of the knowledge that students have on Latin America, it consists mostly in prejudice or in ideas we see on television, in the media, etc. So there is, of course, a very big need for students to know more about this part of the world beyond, of course, the misconceptions or the usual things that we know about this place. So in this opportunity, when coming to take this course, you will find that, of course, there's an introduction on the historical development of Latin America, including, of course, important parts of political development, economic development, social and cultural development. This will be the first part of the semester. And afterwards, we will start reviewing different countries in the region, because even if we think of Latin America as a very homogeneous region for the fact that most of the countries speak Spanish or Portuguese in the case of Brazil, the reality is that we have a lot of diversity within our countries. So we will start with the larger countries, of course, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina. Then we will move to the mid-sized countries like Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Chile, etc. We will study, of course, the sub-region of Central America, the Caribbean, and therefore I think that with this, students can gain much better knowledge regarding this part of the world and eventually feel interested not only in visiting, but actually developing their careers there. In my career here in Taiwan, I have known some students that after graduating, they have visited countries in Latin America. I have a few friends who are actually currently from Taiwan working in Mexico, and they loved living there. So I hope that in the future we have more people here in Taiwan that could take a chance of this opportunity. And of course, our links between Latin America and Taiwan could continue to increase in the future. I think studying Latin America is fascinating for many, many reasons. and certainly diversity is one of them. We are filled with people from different parts of the world. Certainly, art and culture is very, very important for our peoples, for our government. So you will find a very wide offer of cultural events, historic traditions, etc., with, as I just mentioned, influences from many parts of the world. For historical reasons, we know that the Americas, after being so-called discovered by Europeans, then we have very important waves of migration from Spain, from Portugal, and eventually from other parts of Europe. These people, of course, arrived and gave us their traditions, their languages, etc., but many of them mixed with the traditions that were developed for many centuries by the Aboriginal peoples, the indigenous peoples that have lived in the Americas for hundreds and hundreds of years. So together, afterwards, of course, they arrived with some slave labor from Africa, people who eventually also influenced the local music, the local culture in different ways. Of course, in the 19th century, many of them became free. So they start, of course, influencing even more parts of our region. And furthermore, in the 19th century, early 20th century, we have other waves of migration from Asia. There's a lot of influences, of course, from the Japanese diaspora, the Chinese diaspora in places like Peru, like Panama, like Cuba. And of course, in other places, we also have migration from the Middle East, from places like Lebanon, Syria, etc. So basically, this multiculturality has been present in Latin American culture for many, many years, many centuries. So I think this, for sure, is something that we already start appreciating internationally. We know Latin music, reggaeton, pop, etc. has become an international phenomenon in recent years. And part of that is to know exactly the history of these processes, the history of this basically hybridization of different cultures, different influences. And I think and I hope that many of the students in the diplomacy department will find this very interesting. 那我要鼓励大家，特别是我们的外交系的同学，来选我们的课，然后来继续加油。特别是有一个方面，我觉得是很重要的，就是学语言。I think learning different languages is very important in a place like diplomacy department. If you manage to speak English, of course, you will have a very big advantage. But speaking third languages is very, very important. Regional studies, as I mentioned earlier, is very important, but regional studies need to be completed, hopefully, with the study of another language. So if you study European regional studies, then of course it's important that you also have some French speaking skills, German speaking skills, Spanish speaking skills. In Middle Eastern and North Africa regional studies, of course the study of Arabic is also very important. In the study of Central Asia and Russia, of course Russian is very important. And in the study of Latin America, then Spanish as well is very important. There are 21 countries in the world that speak Spanish as their official language. In the United States, Spanish is already the second most spoken language, with millions of people speaking Spanish at home. So, quiero invitar a todos a que también puedan aprender español. En NCCU, 在政大, tenemos una gran variedad de cursos de español y espero que en el futuro tú y yo podamos también algún día hablar en español. 所以就是给大家鼓励，可以学第三个语言，就是除了中文、英文之外，那如果是西班牙文，我觉得是最好的。可是当然这个是每一个学生自己的选择，自己的决定。好，那我要感谢大家。然后如果在学校看到我呢，你们说嗨，hola，好 ，gracias，adiós。